Well, hello, you bearded bastards, and welcome back once again to Locum Cor Zugable Lococun Obak, Spearcavern, the Grand Granite Shrine of Pillars. Right at this current juncture, it is late spring in 143, which means we've been here for, I think it's been like, actually 27 years, which is actually pretty remarkable. We haven't been keeping track all that much, just because, well, time flies when you're having fun, right? And the dwarves are having a grand old time for the most part. Still have a couple of upset dwarves, as per usual, Pop and Wisp, trying our best to get them in a better mood, but we can only do so much. I think it's just going to be how they are, honestly. Not much we could do about it other than just try to manage them. They should be fine though, these two. Not terribly worried in the grand scheme of things. That said, after our aviary project recently, we do need to take some time off and just sort of relax, I believe. I keep saying this again and again, like, okay, so recently, we've been flip-flopping back and forth. We wanted to trade some items with our merchants, increase our relations with the humans, and then we got our hands on those vultures and sparrows, and they're all doing rather nicely up here, just kind of flapping about up in their enormous wooden aviary that we took an exhaustive amount of time to build. But it is done now, and serves as a nice home for them. But yes, we have to relax now, I think. That took a long time, and so we're gonna call it right here. How's that sound? It is late spring of 143. Dwarves, we're gonna relax for a bit. We're taking a year off. We got plenty of food, plenty of drinks, and so let's do it. Everyone drop your tools, drop what you're doing, finish up your tasks, and get your butts over here to the Cobalt Room. You're gonna rest whether you like it or not. Queen Bee has to just kind of adjust, put down her schedules, disregard any sort of looming production issues, and just relax. Queen Bee is not very good at that, you see. She's more of the production-minded, schedule-minded, every dwarf's gotta be busy-minded. But no, her friends have kind of talked her into letting the dwarves relax for a while. I mean, she sees it too. Got Wisp and Pop in and out of her office all day long trying to be consoled. She knows they need a rest. And who knows, maybe we'll have some visitors pop up too. Don't have anybody in here currently, but we could use some entertainment, couldn't we? Now, the only dwarf who's not in the meeting hall right now, and who rarely ever is in the meeting hall, is Emmy. She's over here playing in her parents' quarters, Boggy and Queen Bee. She's in here a good amount of the time, just kind of playing make-believe or playing with her toys. You can see a couple things scattered on the ground right there, actually. More than anything, she seems to really like being by herself, and she doesn't socialize all that much, really, if ever. Just doesn't happen. Quite a solitary child. Right at the moment, she is 15 years old, growing right up. My goodness, it happens quickly, doesn't it? As usual, she is one of the happiest dwarves in the entire fortress. Between her and her father, they are two of the happiest dwarves in the fortress all the time. Reliably happy. Love to see it. Boggy's actually over here right now singing with some other dwarves, including Stack, Whack, Wisp, and Gutter. He has a surprisingly lovely voice, lilting and delicate, like a dew-kissed dimple cup. Keep it up there, Boggy. Yeah, you know, we are a little bit silly for not doing this downtime earlier. The dwarves are clearly enjoying it. They're just dancing around over here alongside Scrap, who we don't really make much mention of. She's the Rutherer right here, the wounded Rutherer that we saved out of that tree. That was quite a few years ago now. She's doing well. I mean, clearly still can't use her back legs, but she is a good girl. We have her available as a pet, but nobody has really claimed her yet, so she just kind of stays down here in our meeting hall. She's learned some manners, though. Doesn't jump like she used to. That's good. Those claws of hers can easily turn a dwarf's innards to outards. Not something we'd want happening. Yes, there we go, dwarves. Just relax. Have a good time. It just became summer, but down here in the belly of Spearcavern, we don't get that hot temperature or that humid air. It's rather nice if I say so myself. Nice and cool and relaxing. Yeah, I figure it'd be good if we spent a year in the company of each other. And who knows, after a year, if things have gone really well, and we still have enough stock, maybe we'll take another year off even. Doesn't that seem zany? To take a couple years off? Well, it's not. We deserve it. We've been here for 27 years. We've never done something like this before. And dwarves really seem to be benefiting, especially now. You know who's not benefiting though? These poor humans who have come to trade once again. We don't really have that much for them. We do have this cage over here that's absolutely stuffed with Drunians and dogs, but there's a problem there. You see, that cage is way too heavy for anybody to go carting it off. We tried trading it recently, actually, but the cage itself is way too heavy. So what we're gonna try to do is get some of these animals out of here and stuffed into this wooden cage that's right next to it. And, you know, maybe we could just do it like that. We have the one main animal stuffed cage, and we'll just take animals out of it and stuff them into a new wooden cage and trade off the wooden cage. I don't really know what's going on over here right now. There's Drunians running around all over the place, dogs. It's a pretty chaotic scene, but seems to be working well enough, I guess. Okay, there we go. We got all those animals stuffed into our new wooden cage over here. And now we just need someone to take it and throw it over into the trade depot. And hopefully it's light enough where one of these poor animals could actually cart it away from here. Here's hoping. And there we have it, a successful trade. We did trade that smaller cage for a load of food. Really, it wasn't an awful lot that we traded for. We wanted to try to give them a pretty good amount of value, so maybe they'll bring more stuff next year. We have to start kind of like letting them win with the trades, giving them more than they're losing. Hopefully that'll make them bring more and more in the future. Maybe some wagons too. We can only hope. Now then, having a look over here, it looks like we had a visitor arrive during that trade. A human swordsman named Pini Afunithio. Well, that's interesting. According to her, she came here just to relax and check the place out. A little older, 68 years old, and is equipped with a silver short sword and no other armor. Having a look, it seems she's part of a group known as the Poetic Plans, a nomadic group. It looks like she's also a soldier of this group as well. Well, glad to have you here. I hope you enjoy your stay, my friend. She seems like a nice human. Not quite as threatening as some of those other characters, too. Much appreciated. Now, before we finish up with the trade over here, I think it's for the best if we get a few more of these smaller wooden cages prepared for future trades. Streamline things a little bit. We just stuff a whole bunch of animals into these smaller cages and put them in the stockpile over here. Easy as that. Plus, would keep down all the racket from the dogs barking and the stink from their, their business. It's really kind of a monstrous system we have going on here, but hopefully they'll all find new homes in places far away. I'm sure they will. Having a look back down to the Cobalt Room, we have another human visitor here, a pikeman named Ita Nekalorea, a 77-year-old woman who is also a part of that nomadic group, the Poetic Plans, a group that we have no clue about. They don't seem to be part of a civilization or anything. I mean, it's a nomadic group, so I guess that stands to reason. But it is interesting that we're only having visitors from this group now. Maybe they're just passing through the area or something? Quite intriguing. Again, she doesn't seem threatening or anything. Not an undead creature. Doesn't seem to be too out of the ordinary in any way. She has a bit more armor than that other human, but other than that, fairly standard. Pleasant conversationalist. We'll take it. Please, enjoy your stay. Now then, having a look back over here towards our trade depot, we have those animals all separated up into separate, smaller wooden cages. A bit more manageable this way. And that is good because we got some more trading on the horizon. Looking outside, you can tell by the color of the leaves, it's now autumn. As we said, time flies when you're having fun, and our dwarves really are. You can feel it in the air, just kind of rushing down into our entrance here. The acidic, earthy smell of fallen leaves, all mixed with intermittent cool breezes. Tantalizing. It's time to hunker down, my friends. But don't go getting too relaxed quite yet. The dwarven merchants have arrived. Time to unload another of our cages, I think. Wonderful. Well, let's get to it, dwarves. Hoping we could do some good business with them. Oh my goodness, okay, trade concluded, but it was a crappy trade. These cages are not good trade items, okay? Terrible idea. It'd be much better if we just kind of, butchered the animals and, did something with their pieces, if I gotta be honest. The cages and animals inside are way too heavy and not nearly worth enough to make the entire thing worth it at all. They can't even carry that much weight, so most of the time we're having to take like really crappy items from them that are really heavy, like chunks of clay and stuff that we have no need for, just to get weight off of their animals. Yeah, this isn't really working out so well, but yeah, that's fine. We can keep trading away one cage at a time till we're out of animals. It's better than nothing, and at least the merchants are happy, even though we end up with a whole load of garbage. Could be worse. It's getting a job done. You know, and while we still have the merchants here, I want to talk about our outpost liaison, Sodel. He's been visiting Spearcavern for the past 27 years, always leading the charge into our fortress. He's a pretty good dwarf. I like him. But you know who he really liked? Tinny. Big time. He was a kindred spirit with her. And so, like, Sodel isn't a part of our fortress, but he is a part of our fortress in a way. He feels emotions and gets stressed out too. In fact, you can see right here, he just knocked over a statue of Boggy, because he's throwing a tantrum, I guess. That's not the best. I didn't really know this guy was quite that stressed out, but here we are. Apparently he's rather stressed. Well, I'm hoping he can keep it cool well enough till the merchants get the hell out of here. I actually don't hear I'm giving praise to this guy, but I don't know if we want him around if he's going to be throwing tantrums like this. But if he hauls off and assaults one of our dwarves in a rage, we wouldn't want that at all. But you know, I guess in the grand scheme of things, Oh my goodness. Would you look at that? Not to draw away too much attention from our friend, but it looks like we had another birth in the fortress. Isn't that wondrous? Stackhud has given birth to a girl. Oh my goodness, that's great. Stack and Whack have had a child, and ain't she cute? Love to see it. My goodness, Stackud's been around for quite some time. Bit of a world traveler and a hero too. But it looks like she's finally putting down some roots, growing a bit of a family. Really warms a dwarf's heart, I tell you. Well, little girl, her name is Iden. But, in Spearcavern fashion, we're gonna have to give her a nickname. And of course, to go through with a process like that, you have to know a dwarf a bit, even if they are still a baby. And so her mother and father are going to show her a wide variety of things, see what she likes, what she doesn't like, and hopefully her nickname will stick into adulthood, but we shall see. But for now, it looks like this little girl is a fan of alpacas. And so like her mother and father's naming conventions, we have Stack, Whack, and Pack. I think that'll work perfectly. Oh, would you look at that. Got the mother and father standing right here, just side by side with their baby. Adorable. Welcome aboard, little Pack. Good to have you. Stay safe out there. Be smart. Welcome to Spearcavern. Well, it seems like this rest is doing us a lot of good, doesn't it, dwarves? Probably should have started resting a while ago. Who knows what else could happen. Thanks, Crab, by the way, for setting up that statue again. Much appreciated. Oh my goodness, by Idrath. Would you have a look at that? Over here, looks like Queen Bee has given birth to her own child. A boy, named Kubuk. That's amazing. Holy hell, 2 new babies back to back. Definitely was not expecting that. What is going on around here? I love it. Well, welcome, my child. Welcome to Spearcavern. Good to have you on board. Now remember, Boggy and Queen Bee are together now. In fact, they're married. And so this is their child. And he's also the younger half-brother of Emmy. And as for his nickname, well, even just seeing him for a little bit here, compared to Pack and Emmy even, he seems like a very grumpy baby. A little bit of a whiner maybe. So maybe we'll give him a bit of a jokey nickname. Again, we don't know if this will continue into adulthood, maybe we'll change it at some point, but for your baby nickname anyways, we're gonna name you Quill. Just because you're a bit prickly and you seem to like porcupines. How's that seem, my friend? Welcome to the fortress, little guy. I'm sure you're going to do just great here. Wowee, that is just amazing. Never would have expected to see that. 2 babies born, just right next to each other. I don't think this is really due to having a downtime either, really. Both Queen Bee and Stack must have been pregnant before we started our downtime. I would think anyways, just judging by the time it took. But who knows? Making me feel better and better about just taking total time off if we can help it. Maybe we can get a population boom going. That would be really amazing, wouldn't it? I think so. Queen Bee is really starting to see the positive aspects of having some rest, I think. Duly noted. Well, there we go. Feeling pretty good about things. Finding myself looking around like crazy, like who's next? Any other babies? Don't want to get greedy though, I suppose. 2 babies just like that. Pretty remarkable. I mean, as I said, we've been here for 27 years. We've only ever had 3 babies born, and to have 2 back to back like that, it's nuts, I tell you. Oh, would you have a look here? Looks like Erdem has returned once again. Erdem Shistaduk, the goblin monster slayer Deathstalker. Always good to see him. He was the Cobalt Room's first visitor. Glad to see him returning so much. Curious if he'd ever actually think to set down roots here. That would be something. I mean, we were a little bit dubious about this guy in the past, for obvious reasons, but he seems rather chill, and he's relatively entertaining as well. So I mean, certainly, if he'd put in a petition to join our fortress here, then we would accept it immediately. Though I suppose that is up to him. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. For now, though, please enjoy our amenities. We have plenty. Food, drink, entertainment, and lovely cooling mist. Now then, back to relaxation, dwarves. Though we are putting some ideas into place. Just, doing it rather slowly and, relaxingly. Trying not to get in over our heads again. Down here, we have an area that we don't often see. It's kind of a smelly area. It's where we process animals. You can see off to the side, we have a large refuse pile filled with animal pieces. Scales and bones and hooves and skulls. And right now we're going through the process of getting it all cleaned up. We had made this layer a while ago, after Tinny's death. Queen Bee ordered us to dig it out so we could take care of all those dogs and Drunians we had running around. But we gotta start utilizing it again. We still have a lot of dogs and Drunians, those ones that stuffed in cages up there. Maybe we could do something with them. I'm thinking that at the very least we can probably do something with all this wool we have around. We have an awful lot of wool. Maybe we could start selling clothing. I think that'd be a rather nice idea. It's just kind of a pain sometimes, if I have to be honest. Gotta shear the sheep, get the wool turned into yarn, get the yarn turned into cloth, and then turn the cloth into clothing. So I figure we'll build a couple of farmers' workshops down here and get to work just spinning a bunch of wool into yarn. I think this is going to go rather well. Also, I think it'd be a great idea to start turning animal bones into jewelry too. We do have a large number of bones from Drunians and dogs and maybe even giant buzzards and sparrows soon. Yeah, a nice animal-based industry is just what Spearcavern needs. Wool, bones, leather. It's time to start thinking smart, dwarves. Oh, just heard something outside. Bit of a commotion out here. Let's go have a gander. It looks like it's the goblin, Erdem. He's up in a tree out here, and it looks like he's in a good bit of trouble. Wow, that was quite a display there, Erdem. Our goblin friend here just took down 7 giant wrens. They were agitated just like those sparrows. I don't know why he's out here up in this tree, or why he'd have such an interest in fighting them, but it looks like he's incredibly capable. Remember too, he doesn't have a weapon or armor or anything. Oh, just took down another one too. That makes 8. Good job. Something to note is that Erdem was using some sort of a ability, a magical power or something against those wrens when he was fighting just now. He seemed to wave dismissively, which would cause the giant wrens to pause. Sometimes he would just kind of like do it back to back real quick, stun the wrens for a bit, long enough for him to get a couple of hits in anyways. But yeah, wow, what a powerful fighter he is. Doubly glad he seemed to be on our side. Would hate to have him as an enemy. My goodness. Here's hoping he doesn't go after Rofa anytime soon. I get a feeling he can give that big bastard some trouble. Yikes. Well, anyways, looks like he's just taking up a post out here for now. Could it be that he's trying to keep us safe, do you think? He's a little bit worried about our dwarves. That might well be the case, right? We can hope as much. Thank you very much, Erdem. Your service is appreciated. Now then, I know we're supposed to be relaxing still, but with the memory of that wren attack still fresh in our minds, I'm looking at our entrance here. Oh my goodness, did you see that? Just as I was saying that, a giant sparrow flew into one of the traps. What I was going to say is that I don't feel so great about these cage traps. We need more. 100%. All it's going to take is a big enough flock coming in from the side to cancel out all those cage traps. And we don't have any cage traps up to the north or down south either. So we're going to have to spread this out a little bit more, just for safety's sake. Especially now that we have a couple of babies around. Our dwarves may be able to defend themselves well enough, but those babies are a different matter. We got to protect them. And that in mind, it might be best to come down here and start digging away some more diorite, just so we could turn it into blocks and bring it up there and begin construction. Pop and Stack are on the job. And as a side note, Pop is in a pretty damn good mood these days. Just figured I'd point it out. I'm sure she'll drop back down eventually, but at the moment, she's feeling dandy. And of course, Stack is doing very well too. She's on top of the world, just going about her work, little pack in her arms. You know, we were all about that relaxing, but it is good that these babies see true dwarven work. Gotta get them accustomed to the sounds of the mines early. Toughen them up a little, you know. And speaking of babies, over here in our aviary, we just had a new brood of sparrows hatched. Up to 7 of them now. None of them are fully tamed though. That is a shame. The crab has to keep a very close eye on all of them, just to make sure they don't revert to a wild state. That could be dangerous for our dwarves, and for the other birds in here too. We currently have 11 giant buzzards. Both very impressive numbers if you ask me. Soon enough we'll have some fully tamed ones, I'm sure. And then we might actually have to do away almost entirely with our Drunians and dogs. No great point to having them around, you know? These creatures are just so much more valuable. But we'll see. Gotta get these feathered bastards to turn a profit before we make any grand decisions like that. And remaining on the subject of babies, over here we have Quill and Queen Bee. They're making some diorite blocks from the stone that was freshly harvested by Pop and Stack. And Quill is doing pretty darn good too. A little less whiny than we thought originally. In fact, it looks like Pack might be a bit more of a crybaby. I like to imagine those two babies starting off with a bit of a rivalry. I'm sure they play together well enough though. Most of the time, they're just kind of kept safely in the arms of their respective mothers, as is often the case with dwarven children. A dwarf baby stays in their mother's arms for a full year after being born. During that time, they get accustomed to the sounds of a dwarven mine, as we've already covered, and they also take this time to let their bodies get accustomed to the flavor of dwarven drinks. Dwarven babies often imbibe alcohol alongside their mothers. It's good for helps strengthen their bones, you see. Makes for strong workers, powerful soldiers. And this quill here is going to be one hell of a fighter, you can tell, just like his mother. He's got the makings of greatness. Now then, back outside once again. A good amount of time has been passing, by the way. We've missed the entirety of winter. Right now we're just at the beginning of spring, actually. And we can see that Erdem, the goblin deathstalker, is still up in these branches. And he doesn't seem to be doing well. He can get down from here. He's perfectly capable. So we have to assume that he wants to be up here for some reason, I think. Again, maybe to protect us dwarves. But it does look like at this juncture all of his clothing has rotted off or has been destroyed by giant birds. And he's also terribly beaten up, I guess, from those giant birds. It also says he's gravely wounded, but I'm not sure if that's the case or not. Just coming from the standpoint that he is an undead creature. I believe what he has is a terrible, terrible infection setting in. At one point we had a look out here and he was soaked head to toe with, brace yourself, this is disgusting, but a goblin pus. He's not like that anymore though, just because it's been rained off of him. The springtime rains. Got him nice and cleaned up. Really, it's got to be a hell of a sight. Our stoic guardian out here in the branches of this, it's an almond tree, keeping a watch for giant birds. He's got 9 to his name so far, and, you know, let's get him out of this tree. I don't care if he is trying to protect us, he doesn't deserve to just rot away up here, whether he wants to or not. Gonna head down to the bottom of this tree, where Queen Bee is already on her way to cut it down. Really, it's the only way we can think to get him out of here. Gotta do what you gotta do, you know. He's gonna disintegrate otherwise. Okay, there we go. Tree was cut down safely, and Erdem looks to be running off now. Okay, good. Yeah, he's got no other choice now, so he's just returning to his home. Well, good luck out there, friend. I really hope you return with some clothing. Anyways, back towards our fortress entrance, we have made a whole bunch of diorite blocks now. And so we're going to start getting them in place. Technically, I know, we're supposed to still be resting, but we also have to be secure, right? So I figured we could put at least a little bit of work into this. It's going to take a lot to get all these blocks in place, so might as well get started now. Maybe after we get some more cage traps down, we can, you know, take another break, but some things you just have to do. We're not going to be too fancy about it. Just going to get them nice and set up in a way where we can catch birds if they try to flap in. But of course, we'll be keeping eyes on the fortress in the meantime as well, obviously. Oh, but here's something. Almost missed him, actually. It looks like we have a new visitor here, somebody who's not yet come to Spearcavern. And they appear to be an interesting sort, too. Thaneli Iyi Lowali, a dingo man maceman. Oh, glad to have you, friend. Yes, make your way right down. He's taking his time, it seems. Doing a little bit of sniffing as he's coming through our entry hall. Sort of an uneven gait. Just will kind of take a couple of steps and do some sniffing. Checking the place out, a little cautious. But yes, here you are. And walking up to Wisp and her dog Ral. Very cool. Well, after a bit of chatting, it looks like Thaneli is here to just relax. He had heard that the Cobalt Room is a place to enjoy oneself. Well, very cool. Now, having a look at Thaneli, he has an iron mace with him, but no armor. And it appears he's part of a group called the Honorable Brightnesses. A nomadic group that is different than the group that those humans came from. Very odd. It seems we have more nomadic groups in this area, up in North Athera Etha. I don't know why they'd suddenly be moving past here so frequently in the past year, but maybe it has something to do with us dwarves bringing civilization to this region. Spearcavern is maybe making a name for itself as being a little bit of a stopover, a place to recuperate after a long travel. Very interesting. Well, that is good to see. Good to see some new faces, some new peaceful faces. That much is for sure. Now then, just enjoy yourself, my friend, and keep talking to Wisp here. Though that is something I want to focus on for just a moment. The happiness of our dwarves. There has been a serious increase in our overall contentment here, notably amongst Pop and Wisp. Wisp is doing a lot better these days. Pop too. I think taking that, it wasn't even a full year really, so yeah, you know, I'm not too sure what did it, but they just seem to be in good moods now. We've taken time off in the past, and I know we said we were going to take a year off, but really it wasn't a year off. It was maybe 6 months or so. But something about that brief time period there really did something to bolster our overall joy. Good to see. We're gonna have to try to keep doing that. I don't know, maybe it was those babies being born? Kinda shook Pop and Wisp out of their respective depressions. Maybe they could see a new hope going forward or something. I don't know, who could say? But we are thankful for it. Thank Idreth. Here's to a bright new future, dwarves. Let's keep rolling forward. We can do it. Back out here at our entrance, you can see it's a little bit of a mess at the moment, and that's because we were once again attacked by giant birds. Kind of a noteworthy attack too, even though we didn't really see what happened. Oh my goodness, would you look here? We're getting attacked once again, it seems. We got some agitated giant wrens outside. One of them got caught in a cage, but there's a couple others just kind of perched nearby. It's not good. Our dwarves are trying to get some work done out here. Yeah, these bird attacks are getting a little maybe too frequent, actually. We're starting to run low on cages at hand. Alright, Stackhood just poked her head out with her baby and attracted those 2 wren over into these cages here, so we don't have to worry about them anymore at least. Well, that's good. And now we have some caged giant wrens. Anywho, a little distracted here. I was saying that we were attacked recently by some giant birds, and as you can see here on the ground we have a giant buzzard dead. This was one of our giant buzzards. It was following the crab around at the moment and attacked a couple of the giant sparrows that were attacking us, and it was killed in return, but we are thankful for its sacrifice. That said, we didn't see it at the time, but Stackhud was attacked, and she was injured too. Luckily her baby, Pack, is absolutely fine though, so no worries. And Stackhud was able to kill a giant sparrow or 2 as well. I forget how many she attacked, but she had that pick with her, so she's not defenseless. And as you can see, she's completely fine now. Got her wounds cleaned out by Gutter with the help of some dog soap, so there's no risk of infection either. Absolutely love to see it. But yes, anyways, back outside here. Caught those giant wrens in some cage traps just now. They're okay animals. They're not really much better or any different than giant sparrows, really. Giant wren lay more eggs than sparrows do, but other than that, they are almost entirely the same. That said, we might as well tame them up and throw them in the aviary. Got plenty of room in there. Not gonna hurt anything. And also note that in some of these cages out here, we have a couple of large bugs. There are a couple of giant louses in cages, as well as a giant grasshopper. One of Rofa's favorites. I wish we had a good way of getting these creatures to Rofa, as a bit of a sacrifice maybe, but I don't think we could manage it. Anything we could do would require quite a bit of infrastructure, and from what we understand, these giant bugs don't tend to live very long. In most cases, it's only a year, so not sure there's much we could do. Though it is something to think about, isn't it? Really, I suppose we could manage something. It wouldn't be too difficult. Especially if it's like a tunnel below ground, we could release bugs up from the middle of this island here. Or maybe... No way. Hold up a second. What is going on? A remarkable day, dwarves. We have another face in the fortress. This is really something. Another baby, a son, for Queen Bee and Boggy. Here we have Queen Bee still holding Quill in her arms, just gave birth to another baby. Man, I'll tell you, these dwarves are tough. She was just out cutting down some trees too. Just came in out of the rain, gave birth to a baby. Dwarves, gotta love them. And this little guy, looks like his parents have named him Monam, but you could just tell looking at him. He's got a sharp intellect. Unlike his brother, he just likes to look at things. Observe. If we were to guess, this dwarf is going to be vastly intelligent down the road. Of course, it is still pretty early, isn't it? We'll have to figure out what he likes though, and oh, hold up. Up the tunnel away we have some trouble. Or, maybe not. Pop just took on a giant alligator and killed the thing. Fairly easily too. My goodness. Very handy with that pick. Damn shame we couldn't catch that thing in a trap though, I'll tell you. Anyways. Yes, we have our baby, Monam, over here. He has a sharp intellect, a sparkle in his eye, and he seems to be a big fan of gold. It looks like they've settled on the name Glimmer, which of course is going to be shortened to Glim. Yes, I think that'll work out just nicely. He likes his gold and he has that sharp intellect. Suits him, I'd say. There's a good kid. He's accompanying his brother and mother down here as Queen Bee makes some cages. Gotta manage those damn birds up on the surface. A dwarf's work is never done, even with 2 babies in hand. Just incredible. And true enough, we've had a lot of good fortune lately. But things are starting to get a little bit dicey, too. We're thinking perhaps we may have agitated the local wildlife a bit too much. These bird attacks are increasingly frequent. Luckily, they haven't caused any serious damage so far, but they certainly could, given enough time. Yeah, all kinds of agitated beasts. Got a skink moving in now, too. Caught in a cage trap, thankfully. Well, we'll get it trained up, and we'll definitely keep our eyes open. If nothing else, this gives us a good supply of things to trade. Meat, bones, skin. But it's getting a little tough to catch our breath. And with those babies around, that is not good news. Well, dwarves, continue trying to weather the storm. These birds can't keep coming in, right? They'll have to stop eventually. Here's hoping, at least. And we'll come out stronger for our efforts. Absolutely. For Spearcavern, and the rise of a new generation of dwarves. with that, we enter the end of the episode where we're going to be talking about some behind the scenes things. Let me tell you what, I am very extremely excited to have those 3 new dwarves in the fortress, and I don't have any explanation why there are 3 new dwarves in the fortress. Why after 27 years do you think there would be 3 babies born? And I don't buy the fact that we took some downtime either, because we've been taking fair bits of downtime here and there, and this one wasn't much bigger than usual. It was really only 6 months they were relaxing, and I think those dwarves became pregnant beforehand. Well, rather, the 3rd baby must have been conceived sometime after that break, actually, but I don't know, it's just very strange. I don't know what could have caused that. Why suddenly there'd be new babies in the fortress? I haven't done anything. In fact, that was one of my fears while recording this. I'm like, people are going to think I'm like, messing with the files or something, increasing dwarven birth rates, but no, that's not the case. I've done nothing. Very odd. I also don't know why Wisp suddenly became happier either. Rather, I guess that's untrue. I noted one thing that I forgot to mention during the episode, that she seems to have gotten a new mental trait where she's become more zany because she doesn't have any shoes on right now. Like, I guess she's just kind of leaning into the absurdity of her situation or something. Just kind of like a, haha, I don't have any shoes. How bizarre is this whole thing? It's pretty bizarre, yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's just kind of what happened. Like, she's just reveling in the extreme absurdity of her entire life right now. Taking things more in stride. I mean, I guess that could be an explanation. I got nothing better. So that's what we're gonna have to go with. Of course, whatever the case, I'm glad for it. Pop 2, yeah, just doing a bit better. No good explanation. I don't know. I don't think we've ever had dwarves fully turn around, like, ever, in my series. I've been making Dwarf Fortress episodes now for, it'll be 8 years in June. And I don't recall a time where we've had a dwarf dip down so badly. Like, Wisp was down in the red at one point, and I was like, boy, that's gonna be it for her, huh? But no, she turned around, and actually, like, I think right at the moment, actually, she's a little upset, her and Pop, but both of them were actually happy during this episode, which I haven't seen in a while. So, yeah, I think we're doing something right. I think we just maybe have to keep them well maintained for a long, long time, and eventually they'll just be in a good mood. We can only hope. As for plans going forward, I know just last episode I was mulling over the fact that I was considering ending the series and probably should have realistically, but with this episode I'm feeling a bit reinvigorated if I gotta be honest. I thought Emmy being born was just a total fluke, but here we are. 4 children in the fortress now. Seems like a whole world of possibilities is opening up. Like, what if we ran this series for a long, long time and eventually became huge? A giant intertwined fortress. That would be something. That's sad at the time being. I mean, I just plan to keep going forward with it. Why the hell not? A couple weeks ago I did a Caves of Cud episode. I don't know if you saw that, but it seemed to be pretty well received. So I plan to just bounce back and forth between Caves of Cud and Dwarf Fortress for now. Every 2 weeks I'll put out Dwarf Fortress, and then 2 weeks later I'll put out Caves of Cud. Just kind of bounce back and forth like that. I think it's gonna go pretty well. It's nice too, working on 2 different styles of video as well. Kind of give myself some time to recharge after doing one, like switch it up and go back and forth. It's nice. I like it. Plus, doing those Caves of Cut episodes gives Mrs. K some time to not color for a little bit. Can be a little taxing for her sometimes. She still does have a full-time job she works. A draft, bless her. One hell of a wax worker, I'll tell ya. But you know what? That's another neat thing too to note. I don't know what's with those nomadic groups moving through. Why do they suddenly pop up like that? After 27 years, we've never seen somebody from a nomadic group pass by. Granted, I suppose we only just opened up the Cobalt room, but I don't know, seems weird, but pretty cool. Yeah, anywho, feeling reinvigorated. I hope you do too, and I certainly hope you enjoyed this episode, and I double certainly hope to see you next time here in Locum Cor Zugabla Lokukuno Bak, a Spearcavern, the Grand Granite Shrine of Pillars. And until then, you be their bastards.